Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the garage. Gerald, of course, my new bestie, Siobhan, is here as well. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Oh my
I'm
God, what a
great.
ceremony we had today.
Well, I don't know if great's the right thing to describe myself. I'm a little shaken, but I went kind of crazy on my predictions. I mean, I
Same.
told you that for sure.
Yeah.
I told everybody else that. Like, I was like, let me just go wild, wild west on these BAFTA predictions because the jury changeover and I didn't really know what to expect. So, what are you gonna do? But
Exactly. Oh, wait, when did the
but
jury changeover happen, by the way?
I think it
Forgot.
literally this year. I mean, they started implementing some changes to it, but I think this was the first year where it was like eliminated from the voting and it was more for like the long listing.
Oh,
So
exactly. So they like
yeah,
less people voting for long lists, more people voting for the
right.
final.
Once the long lists
Yes.
are there, right? Yeah. So I didn't know what to expect, but we do have some big, like, kind of surprises, I would say, from the BAFTAs to talk about. But I asked Siobhan to be here because I wanted to have a guest to kind of bounce ideas off of what this might mean for the Oscar race too, going forward,
Hmm.
because obviously that's what I do for the most part on this channel is kind of try to figure that stuff out. So the only major precursor we have left, Siobhan, is the SAG Awards, which would be next weekend.
SAG
So
Awards.
how are you feeling in general about the Oscar race after the BAFTAs today?
I think that it's looking very good for Anora. That
Mhm.
casting win was pretty good. That Mikey win was definitely helping. And Nora wasn't going to win a Best Film award tonight. We all knew that. There hasn't been a comedy musical that won since La La Land, since Shakespeare in Love. So we knew it wasn't going to win there. We knew it was
Right.
Brutalist versus Conclave. So, but going into SAG, yeah, I mean, it is Conclave versus Anora. And we'll see what
Think
happens.
so.
I thought casting would go to Conclave. Yeah, it didn't. So,
Yeah. Well, that was good that Honora got that because, like you said, that was a bit surprising for what they typically
oh,
award
definitely.
in those situations. But let's look
Mhm.
at some of the BAFTA results here. I will share them
Yes.
on the screen. By the way, guys, if you're watching, thank you so much. But also feel free to throw questions in the chat. I'll kind of pop back and forth between our conversation, and then I'll go over the chat. If you guys have any good questions about what maybe you think about the upcoming Oscars, or if you have a question for us of what we think is going to happen, we'll definitely try to answer some of those throughout the night too. So
Yeah, definitely ask
let's,
questions.
yeah, for sure. So one thing, Siobhan, like when you were talking about Honora, one thing that I don't know why I kind of get away from myself every year when I do my predictions is the guilds are the ones that matter,
Right.
I think. I mean,
Mhm.
people get a little like kind of up in arms at the Critics' Choice and even
Mhm.
the Golden
Golden
Globes,
Globes.
yeah, which started the season, and people get reactionary from that stuff. But like the
Definitely.
guilds usually tell us like what the industry deems award worthy, and I think Honora is like maximum
Mhm.
performing right now among the guilds.
Oh,
Um, go ahead. What do you think?
definitely.
Yeah,
PGA, DGA, WGA, CCA. I mean it. Casting at BAFTA. And then what else? It got and then Mikey wins. So it's like,
and
oh,
Mikey won as well. Yeah. So the thing with Mikey too, like
yeah.
Demi Moore has been the perceived front runner all season, really since the Globes at
Mhm.
least. And I mean, I get it. I mean, the narrative is huge, and that's a tough thing to overcome for anybody, regardless
Yeah.
of how good the performance was.
Mhm.
But I think again, we just don't know yet. That's why, and people are getting at me online and stuff about my support for some of these performances, but like we don't really know yet what the industry is thinking about certain performances, specifically when it comes to acting, because I think the
Yeah.
SAG is going to tell us a lot. I really do. I'm really kind of waiting to see, at least in the acting categories, what SAG does. What do you think they're going to do? Do you
I
think we're
think
looking
it
at a Demi Moore, Adrian Brody thing, or what do you think?
I mean, we could be. I think Demi definitely has the upper advantage at SAG, but if Mikey wins, then that gives Fernando Torres a big chance to win at Oscars, in my opinion.
She could sneak in there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Demi Moore, if she gets SAG, then she has a chance at Oscar, obviously. But I think just her being awarded SAG would be very meaningful to her. I think that personally, I'm looking at the films, the three films. Fernando Torres is the best performance of the year. But Mikey winning tonight is huge. I mean, it puts her right there into the Oscar race. So
And
Yeah.
there is some crossover too from the BAFTAs and the Academy, so it's not like, they're on an island by themselves. There is some international crossover there.
Mhm.
So, I think I don't know for sure, but I wanna say the majority of that crossover is in the acting branches. So, that
Mhm.
helps to see that she won that today. I
Oh,
am
definitely.
I'm a huge fan of the performance in Anora, as you know. So, I love
Same.
to see her get forward there, so to speak. I would be if she gets BAFTA and SAG back to back, I feel like that's gonna be a big wave to ride into the Academy Awards. I'm really kinda hoping that happens.
Yeah,
But
I think if Mikey wins SAG, I mean, she could. I
yeah,
mean, you never know with SAG. They can go for it's kind of unpredictable, I don't know how actors think sometimes, but
I
I
know.
think actors wanna award Demi. They wanna award newcomers, but they also, yeah, so that's the case versus Mikey versus Demi, but it's weird because I think of it as a three-way race at this point, and I don't know. That is the toughest category to predict versus documentary. That's the other one. I'm just like, I have no clue what's gonna happen.
Yeah, so
So
Conclave
yeah.
obviously outperformed at the BAFTAs. I was looking at some of the results here. I have them on the screen. So
Mhm,
obviously it won Best Film, which would be, the
mhm.
equivalent of Best Picture at the Oscars.
Right.
Anora did get casting. I think did they get the Brutalist got cinematography, which was pretty big for that one
Mhm.
because the Brutalist had kind of fallen off a little bit in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it was falling off.
Also got director.
It got director. Yeah, Corbett.
Yeah.
I don't think you can stop him, honestly. I mean, even with that
Really?
DGA, I don't know. It's looking 50-50.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a Sean Baker, Brady Corbet um, battle there, I think.
Yeah,
If you were asking me right now.
absolutely.
Um, what do you think about let's talk about the supporting actress race real quick because that's one that I'm banging my head against a wall over. So
Yeah, I
I think
know.
I think it should here's the results from the BAFTAs today. I think it should be
Mhm.
noted that I do really like Zoe Saldana's performance in Amelia Perez.
Yeah.
I know
As a
that
lead
you're
actress.
basically, yeah. I know you are higher on the movie than I am, but I've been very vocal about the
Yeah.
fact that I just didn't really like the movie.
Mhm.
I just didn't think it was I definitely didn't think it was 13 nomination worthy. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
What do
me
you
neither.
think? Right. I mean, it's crazy to me that the industry just love that thing so much. But
Mhm.
does Zoe Saldana have any competition? And that's with the controversy and everything too, because she hasn't lost yet. I mean, anywhere, right? Or am I crazy? I don't think she's lost anywhere yet.
She, well, Ariana Grande almost swept the critics' circles. It was like Ariana Grande and then
Right, right,
Felicity
right.
Jones and then Zoe Saldana. And then we got into the precursors, and Zoe Saldana was just like bing, 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 bing. After that con thing that happened with Best Actress, the
Mm.
four-way tie, or the group award. Yeah, Zoe Saldana. Also, Damage Control. She's done very well there. She's made some really great speeches about loving each other, about trans lives matter, things like that, and becoming the face of Amelia Perez, where Netflix really fumbled, and she's really taken a lot of the responsibility there. And I think that it's really helping her at this point. And I think that the Academy is seeing that. So I don't see her losing another category at this point. I think she wins at SAG
Yeah.
and Oscars. Next
I
year
mean,
will
if
be
she wins,
Ariana.
if she, well, maybe if she wins it, SAG is definitely over. But I'm just
Yeah.
because I'm going to do those predictions in the next few days for the
Mhm.
Screen Actors Guild Awards, and the same thing could be said for Timothée Chalamet for me. I just don't want to let go of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see Ariana Grande for what she did in Wicked and what Timmy did in A Complete Unknown. I just don't understand why they wouldn't get something. Like at least Mikey has BAFTA, if nothing else, today.
Yeah. I'm really
Um,
confused about Timmy.
yeah,
I thought he
yeah,
would win tonight, and I knew the odds were stacked.
yeah.
There's just something about Adrian Brody this season that feels weird. I don't know if you've seen it like I've seen it. His speeches have been very like dull, and
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's a
yeah. I
weird,
feel like
weird year for
I
actor.
agree. I agree, and I said on my reactions video to the Critics' Choice Awards that I felt like it was
But he
almost
was
like he
drunk.
expected to win. Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But it was almost like he expected to win, and he wasn't like he didn't seem super humble and grateful to me. I mean, I don't know. I felt like
No.
maybe it was just me. I didn't know, but it was a weird. He was carrying himself kind of weird to have just won an award like that.
Yeah.
I
I don't know if
think
he was nervous or what, but like he was like shot, 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 and then went up, and then he was like
right,
fumbling around, and it was just like, what are you
right,
doing? Like,
and we're all watching. Like, are you going on stage or what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
um,
exactly.
so I think that I will say that when I do the power rankings, which are separate from like my actual predictions, I will say Zoe Saldana is definitely ranked number one right now. I think in your
Yeah.
power rankings. Now,
Mhm.
anything could happen. Curveballs could get thrown. The Academy could go rogue. I mean, who knows? There's always that one or two thing that's happened in history that's so different from everything else. So anything can happen in the race. I just think that Ariana Grande specifically has to win SAG. I mean, she has to win SAG
Oh,
to even be considered an option on Oscars night.
I
And the same
mean,
thing
yeah,
with Timothy.
unless it's a Marissa Tomei kind of
Well,
year,
yeah,
if something surprising happens and it's out of nowhere, but I don't, yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, Ariana has to win SAG.
she really
She
has to.
does.
And,
She
and
has to.
I think Timothy's in the same spot. Whereas Mikey Madison, who I probably would pre BAFTAs, I would have been saying the exact same thing about her situation. But with her winning the BAFTA, I think that Anora is 99%, 98, 99% best picture, I think, as we're sitting here right this second. So
Oh,
if you
it's
have
winning.
if you have the best picture, not only nomination, but like that's the best picture on the night.
Mhm.
And then, like we already said, all the guilds love Anora. There hasn't been a guild yet that hasn't awarded it. So, as an extension, I would think Mikey would also be loved by those same voters because they're voting for the
Yeah,
movie that essentially she's the face of. I mean, she's a titular character. So I think
exactly.
she's in a little bit different of a situation between my big three. My big three is
Right.
Mikey, Ariana, and Timmy. But I just think that
Yeah.
Timmy and Ari have got to get the SAG. They have to, or they have no shot.
Yeah, Timmy has to get the SAG to even count. And I think Coleman Domingo has a bigger chance at SAG, to be honest. I have to say.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
actually that you mentioned that I thought that Coleman might win the Critics' Choice Award. I was kind of surprised he didn't because he was winning all
true.
the critics groups.
Yeah, he was.
We
He
got a
was
lot of
second behind Adrian Brody. He was actually tied. Like I did the count. It was like 50-50.
okay.
So
We got a lot of Mikey Madison love over in the chats.
nice.
Jimmy
Yeah,
does say that Jimmy says that Demi's narrative is pretty strong.
it's true.
That's the thing that I wonder about too. But that's one of those like abstract details that's kind of similar to like the controversy with Amelia Perez because it's like we just don't know what the majority of a voting body is going to think about those types of you know factors. And I don't know what to do with this controversy. Like, are you factoring it in at all to what you think is going to happen at this point, or are we
Which
like
one?
pretending it didn't happen? The Amelia Perez one. I'm sorry.
I think it has a factor for Carla
Well, definitely
and
for her, but I mean
Aviar.
residually.
In a way, I think so. I think it's just that, I'm Still Here's a better film and for international feature film.
Mhm.
And just a little bit of controversy would put it down. But in terms of Zoe Saldana, you can't hate on her. I mean, maybe there's a little controversy with the Nina movie, but yeah, I don't think that affects her at
Yeah, I
all.
don't
I
hate on
think,
her personally. I mean, if anything, I'm happy
yeah,
that she's not, being held accountable for something that, frankly, she had nothing to do with. So,
exactly.
but I think the movie overall, like director, best picture, all the texts that it got nominated for, which frankly were baffling to begin with,
Yeah.
but now you put the controversy on top of it. I think if Ari doesn't get the SAG, I think that Amelia Perez's victories on Oscar night will probably be original song and Zoe. That's the only thing I currently am confident saying that is probably going to win those two
Yeah,
categories.
that's the only ones I think that Amelia Perez is gonna win.
Yeah,
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 I don't see it winning. I think it was 5th place pretty much everywhere else. I don't think it was ever even
right.
including picture. I think it was 5th place. kind of like
But
BAFTA. So
let's look at my power rankings real quick.
Zoe is, the face of that film, and she's gonna win, I think.
Siobhan, you can tell me where I'm off here. We can rework this, and then I can, because I was going to update my site
Where
tomorrow anyway. So these are my power rankings. I don't know if you can see them on the screen there on the feed. So I had Anora at 1 already, so nothing's changed there. I think the PGA DGA combo, you're going to have to work really hard to get me off of Anora at number 1 after that. That's just like a shot of steroids right there. So they're going all the way, I think. Now, I had Conclave at 2 already, and then what happened at the BAFTAs just kind of solidified that.
Definitely.
But I also, in my head, I want to ask your opinion, because I thought pre-BAFTAs that The Brutalist was underperforming, but then tonight at the BAFTAs, it actually did really well. But I think that's still 2-3 though, I think, right? Conclave, Brutalist.
Well, I think so, because Brutalist and editing is a no-go, and production design, but Brutalist is a no-go. No casting, no ensemble at SAG. I think it's pretty hard to make the case there. I mean, it's very rare that happens. I think Green Book is the only one I can think of that comes close. I don't think Green Book was nominated for ensemble at SAG. So Brutal, and that is not even in the realm of the same movie at all.
The only thing about my power rankings that I'm looking at here is I might move Wicked up and switch it with The Complete Unknown, but otherwise, I mean, Nickel Boys did win adapted screenplay at WGA, which that was great for Ramel Ross, but I don't think that does anything in terms of getting closer to Best Picture for that movie. I think it's basically Anora, Conclave, or The Brutalist. Those are probably the only 3 that are even like considered to be Best Picture winners right now. But I think Anora is the clear way, like lapping everybody else right now. Would you say that's fair?
I think that's fair. I mean, for Wicked, I would put Wicked over A Complete Unknown. But for it to be a number 3 for me, it would have to be Cynthia, Ariana, and ensemble win at SAG. It would have to be that to even be considered for anything.
Yeah, it would have to go wild at SAG for sure.
A Complete Unknown, I think we went a little crazy with A Complete Unknown, because we saw it get, the 5th spot at BAFTA, which was like, I had that at number 7.
And
I had
Mangold for DGA too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, okay, we really made up for Walk the Line years ago. I remember when he didn't get the director nom there.
Let's see. We had a couple questions over in the chat. Let's see if I can go back over there real quick. So Maria wants to know. Maria's a great supporter of the channel, by the way. She wants to know if we think Wallace and Gromit has a chance for animated at the Oscars after winning 2 animated awards tonight. What do you think?
I mean, there's always a chance. Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, already won the Oscar years ago, about 20 years ago. I find that as my number 3. I think it's between Wild Robot and Flow, but it has a chance. You can't count it out. I think it has a better chance than Inside Out 2 and Memoir of a Snow, certainly.
That's true. I would probably say I actually had it at like 4 or 5 before tonight, but I know the industry does love, in general, the Wallace and Gromit films. To answer Maria's question, I think it's probably the Wild Robot. I don't know if I'm going to get crazy and predict Flow as an upset. But I think it's definitely one of the 2. I might do something really stupid like the night before the Oscars and predict Flow to win, but I think it's one of the 2, Flow or Wild Robot.
It is a race. I mean, it is head to head between the 2. So I don't know. I think Wallace and Gromit is maybe the 3rd choice for pretty much every voter. So I'm not sure. I mean, it always has a chance, but you never know. It's a good film.
Like you said, I mean, it could obviously surprise, but I mean, it would be a long shot surprise. Like, I don't think anybody that does this like regularly would predict it to win. Let's put it that way. And then if it wins, everybody's wrong. I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I like the movie, but
even at BAFTAs, it was number 2 for both categories for me, and then it won both. And then we're like, what was the point of that category? I thought it was to award British animation something, and then they just gave it animated anyway. So
yeah, it did really well with people that were voting on those animated films. Yeah, I wanted Flow to win something. I know a lot of people, I guess, in the UK hadn't had a chance to see Flow yet, but
I guess that was pivotal. I think that's hard for Flow. It's not looking good for Flow right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it does still have that kind of like underdog narrative though. Like I kind of
It
feel
does.
that, when I see people talking about it online and interviews with various people that have mentioned it, I feel like it has that underdog kind of like, let's vote for this to like, because this is some dude in his bedroom making this movie on his laptop. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's a really
definitely.
cool, story. Joey wants to know if we think Nosferatu has a chance to win cinematography at the Oscars. I
Yes,
definitely think it has a chance. Absolutely. Um,
100%.
Also because that's kind of a toss-up category. I mean, the guild that just awarded it for cinematography for a period film.
It did.
So, like I said earlier, I'm always going to defer to what the guilds are doing versus, critics group or Golden Globes or whatever. I do think that's a race for cinematography that there's so many worthy competitors this year, like Dune.
There are.
I mean, Brutalist, like you could throw them up in the air and grab one, and that could be your winner. You know what I mean? There's a lot. So for that reason alone, I think Nosferatu has a chance. But that guild win that it got a couple days ago really helped me kind of be like, okay, maybe we're on to getting a Oscar for Nosferatu. So I would say, actually, right now, I would say that's probably my prediction to win the cinematography is Nosferatu.
Yeah. But my prediction is the Brutalist.
It is. Yeah, that's fine
It
too. I mean,
is.
that's what I mean though. That's what I mean though. You just don't really, I mean, it could be either or it could be something else. I mean,
It's hard
that's a
to
strong category.
say. BAFTA has awarded in the past decade, every single winner has gone on to win Best Cinematography except Nomadland, which lost to Mink, which is black and white. And Nosferatu is like, it's not black and white, but it has that black and white like history with
Sure,
Nosferatu.
yeah.
You know what I mean? The original 1922, I believe. So you never know. I think they could pull out a surprise and cinematography with Robert Eggers
Eggers.
films. I mean, come on. We have to
What are you
award him
thinking for
something.
one of my big supporters, Jimmy, wants to know about original screenplay. He says that
Mhm.
race is pretty wild right now. I would agree. What the hell that we're doing out there?
Oh,
Um, I don't know. What do you think? Original screenplay. Who do you think has the driver's seat right now?
um, I don't know. I think it's Anora, but A Real Pain
Yeah,
was the biggest shocker of the night for me. I was like, they gave
that
A Real
was
Pain original screenplay, and then they gave documentary to Superman, and I was like, okay, I see.
yeah. We're going
Yeah.
crazy here. I think
Okay.
I don't know. I think the WGA is weird because so many films are like not eligible because there's some weird rule that they have built in. So not all the films that were in the kind of discussion this year would have been eligible for WGA, but obviously that's still a strong win from the Writers Guild for Anora. And
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, man. I would probably say I would probably be predicting Anora right now for original screenplay if it was me.
It
The
feels
only
right.
thing, yeah, what actually doesn't feel right. I actually want it to be. I mean, me personally, I actually want it to be the substance. I just don't
Yeah, that's true.
have anything yet to really be like. Because I mean, Critics' Choice was cool, but if that's the only thing it has, I don't think that's strong enough to predict an Oscar for that. You know what I mean? I feel like it needs a little bit more.
It
But how cool would it be to
does.
get Coralie Farja an Oscar though? That'd be great.
Oh my god, I would love that. Oh my
I
god, I
do
would
think
literally
she's.
cry.
I don't know. I do think she's probably the runner-up though, at least.
My, um, what do you call that? My Roman Empire, is that what you call it? Is like Crowley Farja, Substance, Sean Baker for director, and then picture Anora, and then Brulist gets shut out because that's my holy.
Yeah,
Is my Roman Empire? Is that what it's called? Holy Roman Empire? Is that what
yeah.
people say? I don't know.
I don't know either. I think so. You sounds like you're onto something there.
I'm onto something.
Because if because Baker could win. I realized this in the middle of a video the other night when I was talking because I don't do scripts anymore or anything. I just kind of talk. But
Mhm.
I realized in the middle of recording that Baker could win 4 Academy Awards, just him on that night, if he won screenplay, director, picture, and editing because he edits his own films. And I'm
Right.
like, well, wait a second, would that happen? So I'm like, maybe Coralie will win screenplay because I also don't really know what to do in editing. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
Or he could just have a big haul. I'm not sure.
editing is tough. It's very tough, and I predicted Conclave tonight, and it won. So,
Nice.
but it's BAFTAs, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's Anora versus Conclave. And like it really is turning out to be a 2-person race at this point, and the Brutalist is kind of like that. I don't know, it's just like lagging. I don't know. You say it's overperforming, I say it's like midlining, flatlining.
I would say tonight or today at the BAFTAs was big for the Brutalist because I thought the Brutalist was like going to vanish into like the
true.
annals of movie history, and then all of a sudden, it's, won a couple big awards tonight at the BAFTAs, and I was like, okay, well, people do like it.
That's true.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, AJ's asking about the director race, and he's saying that he's going to go with the DGA winner, which is Sean Baker.
Okay.
That's probably what I would do too. I mean, I'm going to defer to the guilds. I mean, every time. I mean, I know that's kind of basic. So unless I'm picking some kind of crazy upset, like, here's a perfect example. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell everybody watching and you, Siobhan, if Timothee Chalamet wins the SAG, he's my prediction to win the Oscar, period.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely going to be like...
It'll be like 10% of people probably doing that. But that's something that I would do because that's a guild. And everything else that Brody has is non-guild for the most part, unless it's something they gave the Brutalists, collectively. So
I agree.
I'm just going to defer to the guilds. I think they have the most crossover. They have the most kind of like-minded voters. They, you could even look at their nominees that they present every year, and they're very, very similar. Whether you're talking about like the PGA's 10 versus the Oscar 10, like they always only miss by like one film, in the group. I mean, they're very, very similar. So the BAFTAs are a really strong precursor, and there's been some history to support that. But in certain categories, it's a horrible precursor. Like in Best Picture, like they rarely match winners. I mean,
yeah.
So it's
just
the
BAFTAs,
right? Yeah, because sometimes they do their own thing.
They do. They like their serious, no nonsense films.
So let's look at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which would be, where did I put it at? Here it is. So I want to get from you, and this could obviously change because we're a week away from these. So if you don't feel like I'm going to play this back for you or whatever,
oh no,
I'm not going to screenshot it and tell everybody this is what you said. You can obviously change your mind, but as we're sitting here right now, I want to kind of go through these, and then I'll tell you kind of where I am. So
okay.
Next would be obviously the acting cast, the ensemble, which is essentially their version of kind of like Best Picture. So they have A Complete Unknown, Anora, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked. What do you think? I'm not talking about Oscars. I'm talking about for the SAGs. What do you think they're going to award it to here?
Anora.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think they get to Anora.
So when did Screen Actors Guild voting close? I should have had that pulled up here. I feel like that closed like the 11th or something like that, right? I think
it closed, yeah. Like very recently. No, the BAFTAs closed on the 11th.
Oh, okay. So when did this? Oh, the SAGs are still open. I think.
Are they?
Oh,
they're still
SAGs
open.
are still open. I think. 21st, AJ says. Thank you, AJ. So the 21st are not closed.
Oh my
yet.
God.
So
when are the SAGs?
Like 5 days later. They're like next Sunday, I think.
Oh goodness. Okay.
So your pick for Anora, I think, is a great pick because first of all, they're seeing all of this Anora domination. So the only thing would be if they're like, screw that, like let's vote for something else, which I don't know why they would do that because they, share a like-mindedness. But I don't, looking at this 5 right here, I don't think anybody can compete with Anora based on what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. I mean, Conclave would be the only one I would even like remotely consider. But let me just say something. I'm gonna throw it to you. But when the SAGs nominate a film like multiple times, they obviously love it, which could then turn into wins through voting. Wicked and A Complete Unknown and Emilia Perez all got a lot of nominations here, which is also why I'm really glad Anora got a lot of nominations when we got those. I would probably lean your way too, though, and I'd probably say Anora as of right now. Do you think it has any competition, or am I crazy at the SAGs? Wicked? Yeah, they loved Wicked, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wicked, because Jonathan Bailey was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
I was watching that. I was
out
like,
of nowhere.
Bailey?
I was like,
what?
I was like, that. Okay, no shade to Jonathan Bailey, but I was like,
no,
is he really like a college, high school student? Okay, but He did
Yeah.
great in the film, so I have no complaints, and that was a cool nomination. It's nice to mix it up. But yeah, I think Wicked has a bigger chance than Conclave here. Conclave is like an all-male cast, except for, Isabella Rossellini in terms of like nominations. And yeah, I don't see them really going for that personally.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I think Wicked, Anora, and Conclave are the three like majors in this bunch right here at the SAGs. I think it's Anora's, but you know what? I kind of hope you're right with the Wicked analogy, because if they love Wicked that much and they're starting to award it, then guess who might get awarded? Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande.
Which means then I can go, okay, you guys have been making fun of me for like a month now, but guess what? Now she just won the Guild for acting, and she's going to the Oscars with that on her mantle. So, obviously it could go to Zoe as well because they loved Amelia Perez too. But I think that the SAG window being open during all this Amelia Perez controversy, again, I don't think Zoe should be hurt for that. But I'm also being a realist that she might be. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we don't really know yet. So
exactly, and I think supporting actress is like that category that things can change around. Didn't Jamie Lee Curtis win SAG and then win Oscar right after?
Yeah, that was it. Yep.
And then we had,
and that was recent too.
Emily Blunt, A Quiet Place. They can definitely like go for like something different in supporting actress.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I think that she has a 42% chance to win. To 58.
I mean, that's why I said with her and with Timothee for sure. But typically when it comes down to the acting categories, unless somebody were to beat here, let me look real quick. Let's see, and I'll go back up to the other ones. But unless somebody were to beat Kieran Culkin, for example, in this category right here, that wouldn't affect me. So that would be a situation like, let's say Yuri Borisov won it at SAG because they want to award international newcomer or whatever. Great. Like, I love Anora. I think that would be awesome for him. But I'm still going to predict Kieran Culkin to win at the Oscars. Whereas in these other categories, let me start back up here real quick. Okay, so for female actor, so now I know she just won the BAFTA, but this is a perfect example, kind of what I'm saying. If Mikey Madison wins SAG, I'm predicting her to win the Oscar. And frankly, I might anyway, because she's going to be in the Best Picture winner, most likely. What are you going to do here? Tell me, as we're sitting here right now. You can change your mind in a few days, but what are we doing? What are you doing right now if you had to pick?
Demi Moore.
Okay.
I think she still has a narrative. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's really hard to call right now. I don't know. I just feel like more actors like Demi, like the acting family. We have Bruce Willis, and that whole saga story. Mikey's very new. Who was the last person that won actress that was like kind of an up and comer at SAG? I can't think of one in terms of like lead actress.
The last like newcomer that won SAG. That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe
I don't know either.
Maybe the sleuths will come through for us in the chat. I think for the SAG, I think you're probably right that Demi Moore has the strongest narrative among that group, because obviously they're actors as well, and it's just tough to overcome that narrative, I think.
It is.
But I'm gonna. I don't know.
Jennifer Lawrence was the last one.
That makes sense.
She was nominated. She was nominated for Winter's Bone already 2 years prior. So
that was for what? Silver Linings Playbook, or?
Yeah, she won for Silver Linings Playbook, and then she won the Oscar, and that was the narrative there, that she ended up beating out Jessica Chastain for Zero Dark 30. I think that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got a lot of Cynthia Rivos in the chats too.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, she could definitely come in here at SAG for sure. I mean, if there was a spot for her to win, this would be the body for her to win, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not counting her out.
No.
Oh, definitely. I think next year's her year, but I am not counting any of these women out. Honestly, I honestly think any of them could win. Any of them.
So I'm going to be somewhat crazy, but also somewhat predictable, because if Mikey God, I don't know though, because I don't know what I do if she doesn't win. But if Mikey wins SAG next weekend, then I will be predicting her to win the Oscar. If she doesn't win SAG, and let's say Demi Moore does, or even Cynthia Erivo, I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't, because I might still predict Mikey on that best picture, the strength of the Anora love that's been getting from literally every guild from every major like category for the most part. And I just don't know how you don't give Anora, the actual Anora, that love too. So I don't know what I will do. But if Demi
That's
Moore wins the
true.
SAG, then that makes things tough for me, because then I don't really know what I'll do. So I'm hoping Mikey can pull it out. But
I mean, the Mikey narrative makes sense for Anora. I can't lie. If we're talking about SAG, I think it's very close for Mikey. This could be a turnaround for her. If Demi Moore wins, my
yeah,
Oscar prediction's still crazy. I'm like not changing my Oscar prediction like at all, probably. So
Amy, I see your comment. Girl, I'm fuming. I don't know if fuming is the right word, but I was definitely not happy about. And people showed up in my chat within like 0.3 seconds when she lost it to tell me I was wrong. So I've been pulling for her all season, and I think she deserves to get something. So I'm still holding out hope for her and for Timothée Chalamet at the SAGs. And I think if Ariana and Wicked in general overperforms at the SAGs, that could be a great leap into the Oscar race. But I just think that Zoe Saldana resume is just getting so much stronger, like after every award show, and it's just like hard. It's getting harder and harder for Ariana to kind of break through that. So,
yeah,
but I'm definitely pulling for her.
I kind of wish she won the Golden Globe.
Me too, and I thought she was going to. That was
Me
when I was kind
too.
of like, what? I mean, the industry loves Amelia Perez. I mean, I know you like it a little bit more than I do, but I just the whole thing is just so weird to me. I just don't. It's just such a strange film for them to be embracing across like all these different bodies.
Certainly.
Male actor in a leading role at the SAGs. Again, I'm going to ask your opinion, but if Timothee wins here, I will predict him to win the Oscar. If Brody wins this again, or if somebody upsets that's not Timmy, I'm predicting Brody no matter what. So, in other words, Timmy has got to win this to have even remotely a negative like 0.0003% chance to win the Oscar. If he doesn't win this here, there's no shot in hell. It's Adrian Brody's. So that's going to be the deciding factor for me, is what happens to Timmy on SAG night. Who are you picking? Are you sticking with Brody for as well, or what are you doing
for SAG? I am. I think Coleman Domingo has a better chance than Timmy.
I mean, it's a smart thing to do. The whole thing is just so baffling to me. I mean, I know I'm biased. I love Timothée Chalamet, I always have, but it was just such a committed, not just performance, but like preparation for the performance was so committed. I mean, we're like 7 years for like preparing for it. And I just hate a situation that we might be in where he doesn't get recognized for that anywhere. It's just crazy to me, at least televised awards. But I do think Coleman has a shot to upset, and Rafe Fiennes too, honestly. I mean, especially coming off the Conclave success of the BAFTAs and et cetera. But yeah, I mean, this could be a toss-up at SAG. Because like you mentioned Emily Blunt before and some other wins that they've given out, like sometimes they just do whatever the hell they want to do over there. And it doesn't really help us at all. Yeah.
I mean, I think anything could happen with leading actor at SAG. Anything. I don't think Daniel Craig wins at SAG, but I can see a path for all four: Timmy, Coleman Domingo, Rafe Fiennes, and Adrian Brody. But I just think I'm not going to overthink it this time. I'm just going to go with Brody. But yeah, if Timmy wins SAG, then I think he wins the Oscar.
If Timmy wins SAG,
in A Complete Unknown.
If Timmy wins SAG, check on me because I'll be partying somewhere.
Yeah,
the same thing.
I'll check the pulse.
Please, yeah. Same thing with Ariana in this category. She's my personal pick. She's my front runner among the Oscar nominees and among this group, but she just hasn't been able to get over the hump outside of the critics groups prior to the televised season. It's Zoe Saldana is kind of running away with it, I think.
She is.
I love Zoe Saldana too, so I feel bad. Like, I like her, and I think she was good in the movie. I don't know. I'm just kind of against Amelia Prince. I
Yeah,
think.
I feel you. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah.
get behind a film that's so like
Man.
it's like shaking us. And like,
Yeah.
please don't shake the baby.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just trying to have fun, and everyone's like, there's so much drama this year, but I think it's starting to settle down a little bit,
Yeah.
thankfully. And Zoe Saldana is the face of that settling down. And so
Yeah.
that's why I think her narrative is working for her right now. She's speaking out against, well, not against, but like for what she loves and what she likes. She's being very
Right.
positive, and that's just kind of her campaign. So
Yeah. Um, it's very similar to the Timmy argument I made earlier. I think that if Ariana, it has to be Ariana though. If one of the other three ladies were somehow to win in an upset here at SAG, I don't think that affects Zoe. Whereas if Ariana were to win, because I feel like she's been right there. Like Wicked is much more loved than like, The Last Showgirl, for example, or The Piano Lesson. You know what I mean?
oh,
So
definitely.
I feel like there's more universal support for the project of Wicked. I don't know if voters, at least at the Academy, may be conflicted if they know a part two's coming or whatever. I mean, we've seen that before. But if she doesn't win at SAG, regardless of who wins, even if it's not Zoe, then I can't predict her to win the Oscar. I mean, it just won't happen. She's got to, I don't know where she would have support at that point. Like I won't see the support for Ariana Grande if she doesn't win SAG. So I would have to go Zoe Saldana too. But I mean, I think it's going to be a tough hill to climb, no matter how you look at it. But I'm putting Ariana in the same bracket that I was speaking of with Timothée Chalamet. They have to win.
They have to win. There's
Yep.
If they don't win, then it's over.
It's
And we have
do or
another
die.
Oppenheimer year, which was last
So
year, which is boring, but it's okay. I mean, they're
can any
worthy winners
no,
here.
it was this year is definitely different than last year in terms of like trying to figure it out. Can
Definitely,
anybody
yeah.
beat Kieran Culkin at the SAG of these guys? You like Yuri Borisov, right?
I do. I'm sticking with him.
For the
I
SAG.
want him to win. I want him to win. He deserves that.
Yeah. I think
But Kieran Culkin is just,
I mean, he's not even showing up to the award shows and he's winning them all,
he's literally not even that. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's being a Culkin. He's just like, whatever. I'll be at the
Yeah.
Oscars. See you later.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe it won't be. I
Maybe.
thought Edward Norton was like a strong contender in this category for a while, but like I said, a complete unknown has been in general kind of underperforming. So I don't really feel good about that anymore. I think that it's Kieran Culkin's kind of in a runaway sweep situation.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen anybody challenging him. And this goes all the way back to even the critics groups before the televised season. I just haven't seen anybody challenging him really. And even though it's not my favorite performance, or I don't think it's the best among the supporting, even though this is technically another lead role, by the way,
Exactly.
I don't see him winning. So if you think he can lose in the chat, let me know. But I don't think anybody can beat Kieran Culkin, despite what we might think of the performance. I mean, it's a good performance. I just don't think it's like a runaway sweeper like it has been.
I don't think so. But it's weird because Guy Pearce isn't here. That's when I got really
That
worried
was
for the Buddha
so
list.
strange. Yeah, that was so strange. I thought he could upset at the BAFTAs. So this is all TV crap, but I think don't they have like a stunt
Not the
category or something
TV
like
crap.
I've been watching TV shows since The Sopranos. Oh, here we go.
The Sopranos. And Oz.
And yeah. So stunt ensemble. I mean, Wicked got nominated here even. I'm not saying they didn't have great stunts in the movie, but it just proves that they love Wicked. So
I mean, yeah, I mean, Cynthia Erivo was flying through the sky on a cord singing live.
Yeah.
How can you
defying
not put
gravity?
It
Without a doubt. I don't know. I feel like maybe they'll award something with the Fall Guy here, maybe because it's like a love letter does not work, and something like that. Something kind of weird that is not a player.
I think I am also going with the Fall Guy here.
Yeah, me too. I think it would be that, or like it'll be something weird. It'll be that, or like Deadpool or something. It'll be like a strange pick. To answer Jimmy's question, I think we already did, but yes, it is category fraud. Kieran Culkin is a lead.
Yep.
At a minimum, he's a co-lead, but also they do that shit every year. So I talked about with my friend Jonathan Fuji about it a couple weeks ago. I don't have the energy to like worry about that. They're going to put who they want to put in whatever category they want to put them in, and there's at least 2 or 3 every year that you're like, that's supporting or that's lead. Like, last year Lily Gladstone was in lead, which I mean, great for her, but that was a supporting performance. I mean,
It was
by definition, that was a supporting performance. And
definitely.
this year you could say Ariana Grande is a co-lead. Obviously we're talking about Kieran Culkin here. Zoe Saldana is a co-lead. So I mean, it's all over the place. It's just going to come down to the performance. But I think that when it is category fraud like that, Siobhan, that it does make it tougher on the other candidates in the category.
It
Because you look
does.
at because you look at like Isabella Rossellini, who is only on screen for like 3 scenes against somebody like, Ariana Grande or Zoe Saldana, who are in like, 70% of the movie. So it's like,
Exactly.
obviously that actress is going to have the potential to have more of an impact on the voters. So I do hate the category fraud thing, but at the same time, we can't do it. I mean, they're just going to do whatever the hell they want,
I mean, we can't really, they can't really, unless they do like a percentage time thing, which seems like weird. But yeah, it's turning into the year of the leading actors, which is like, I want to see a supporting role win something. And it's not really happening.
That would be cool. Let's see what else I got here for my power
So let's
rankings.
see what SAG does. SAG might change it up.
So my power rankings for lead actress, I want to see if we're thinking this is going to get switched up at all. But I think you left Demi Moore at the top, right?
Yeah, I have Demi Moore at the top.
Yeah. Now I'm going to update these tomorrow, but then I'll update them again after the SAGs, which will be like the final rankings before the Oscars. But depending on what happens at the SAG, I think it's still like this. Even with Mikey's BAFTA win, I think we're still looking at this. The interesting thing about Fernanda Torres, and I'm Still Here, is she could like come out of nowhere and upset, like, because she hasn't been anywhere since the Globes. I mean, she's been there, but I'm saying like she hasn't been on stage and her name hasn't been, on the nominee slide and all that. But I think that so many people are seeing that movie right now, like in the last like 2 weeks, leading up to when Oscar voting ends, which I think is in a couple days on Tuesday, I think. So it's like right in that window when they're voting is when everybody's seeing that movie. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it could be it could be a very silent attack if Fernanda Torres were to come in.
Yeah, she's going to be an assassin. I think that, she's been doing a lot of press. She's been doing a lot of interviews. She's all over the news. And I think the one thing that hurts her is I'm Still Here didn't get Best International Feature Film or Best Non-English Feature Film here at BAFTA today, but I didn't see that happening. I would have had her higher if that happened. If that happened, then I would have known that the wave is happening.
Right.
But yeah, she's number 3 right now.
I think so.
But yeah, I think for power ranking, just for power ranking.
I think so too. I think this is pretty much the way that's going to go. AJ says he's going to predict Mikey no matter what happens at SAG. And that's what I was saying. I don't know what I will do at that point. But to AJ's point, I'm assuming he's saying that because Anora is the Best Picture winner. And that is a great precursor in and of itself to go along with the picture winner. And not just the picture winner, but like, I mean, like I said earlier, every guild it could get director, it could get screenplay, it could get text, I don't think Yuri Borisov's going to win, but I mean, he's in the running. So obviously they they loved it from all aspects. So if that's what AJ is referring to, I agree that that's something that I might do too. I just think it would be easier for me to do if she won the SAG. That's all I mean.
Definitely.
But it's a great point. Let's see for my power rankings. What's next here? Okay, so lead actor. I'm gonna have to change this. This was pre BAFTAs, but I think Brody is obviously the top. Yeah. So I think Brody's obviously the top. He hasn't lost. Coleman might be above Sebastian Stan too, I think. But this is another race where it's like they're all so good. This is a great category. Like this is a rare category where on Oscars night, whoever won this, I would be happy. Like all of them are great. I feel like.
Yeah, I think we could switch Brody and Chalamet and
Yeah.
Domingo and Stan, and then I would agree in this power
Yeah.
ranking,
And
just
that's
based
probably
on
where
BAFTAs.
that's probably where
But
it's going to fall.
it is really close. I mean, it is by a hair.
I agree. And then I think for supporting actress, we're probably in the same boat as what I had here from last week too, even with the BAFTA results, because obviously Zoe won the BAFTA. So, you know, if
Mhm.
Ariana Grande had won the BAFTA, then, and it's funny too, because I've been flipping them all season. Like my 1 and
I
2 has been going like
know.
this, like every week, you know? Um, but I think that Zoe Saldana is the clear front runner now, clear number one going into Oscars, regardless of what happens at the SAG. But this is my power ranking, not my prediction. If Ariana wins the SAG, I'm going to predict her, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to predict her based on that single SAG win,
Okay.
falling right into the Oscars. I mean, it's happened a few times, so you know it could
Yeah,
happen again.
it's true. Oh, I
Um,
want to do the same, but I have to stew with it. I have to stew with it a
mhm,
little bit
mhm.
more. Just
Yeah, no, I know.
simmer. But yeah, I agree with your power ranking 100% there. I
And
wouldn't
then
change it.
this is obvious. This is probably where we're at right now. Yuri Borsov might be 3, but I don't think it matters because I think Kieran Culkin's like running away with it. So,
Yeah. We'll see
and
after SAG.
this is an interesting one though for director.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think it's, but I do think it's Baker or Corbet though, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Would
anyone else
you?
stands a chance here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I got to lead Sean Baker too because of the DGA, really, um, and just the strength of the support for Anora. It seems like, you know.
Yeah, I would leave him. I think he has a slight advantage. I mean, Nora got PGA, DGA, WGA, CCA. I mean, he does mop the floor. He lost
Amy's,
if he got original screenplay today, then I would have been like, it's Baker
yeah,
all the way. But now I'm just
yeah,
like, okay, maybe Corbett has a
yeah.
chance, but it's hard to say, okay, first time epic film director, we're going to give you the Academy Award when that has never really happened. It's never happened to Coppola, never happened to who else can I think of? Spielberg. It didn't happen to
That's
George
true.
Lucas.
Yeah, that's true.
So Scorsese
Uh,
even.
yep.
Nope.
Amy's got jokes over in the chat. She said John Shu's going to win,
I'm gonna win an Oscar.
which is actually funny because that did kind of blow my mind on the Critics' Choice night. I mean, I was happy for him. I love him, but I was just like, what? What the hell? That was definitely a strange win. But then again, so was Anora because they had been blanking Anora on everything. That it was expected more to win, and then all of a sudden the picture they gave it to Anora. It was strange. That Critics' Choice Award like gave me a headache. It was so weird. Um, okay, well, what else? What
Oh,
else did you want to talk
definitely.
about here? So we basically we're trying to say what the state of the Oscars race is. I think that kind of like Siobhan and I said earlier, it's definitely more exciting this year than it was like in our Oppenheimer year last year, and previous years where it's kind of like a done deal. It's definitely more
Yeah.
exciting. But what I will say is, I feel like stuff is kind of coming into more focus with a
Yes.
couple categories still up in the air. Like I think right now, don't listen to me because I'm going to do some crazy shit next week or in 2 weeks when I predict the Oscars. But if you wanted to be safe, Zoe Saldana, Kieran Culkin, who
Adrian
else?
Brody, Demi Moore.
Adrian Brody, Demi Moore, Anora for picture. Those 5 are pretty much like those are the. If you look on Gold Derby right now, they're probably the probable winners in those 5 categories.
Right. Not Vanity
Director's a
Fair.
little not Vanity, uh,
No shade.
wow. I was gonna
Love
say,
you,
whoa.
Clayton.
Director's a little more. It's probably Baker, but that one's a little more up for discussion.
Hmm.
Because Corpay's got the Globe and the BAFTA. Baker's got DGA, right? And what else? Is that the only major one? And then it has PGA for picture, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, so that was a little more like you could play around with that one a little bit more. And then when you get to the below the line categories and you get like the screenplay categories too, I think adapted is Conclave with pretty much I don't think anybody's going to beat Conclave for adapted. But original you could talk about maybe The Substance, There seemed to be some
Yeah.
support for those kind of weird, unique screenplays. Baker obviously is in there. So I think that as much as we might want to keep the narrative going, that it's kind of a yo-yo going up and down and we don't really know, I think there's like 5 of the 6 major categories right now are pretty clear. I mean, they're pretty much in focus, those
Yeah.
5 that we mentioned.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what I'm going to do for my predictions, but if I was smart, and if you guys watching are smart, you'll predict those 5. I think those are probably the ones that are, and that could be irregardless of what the SAGs do, honestly. Because
Mhm.
I mean, you mentioned like a couple other wins that the SAGs have given out. I mean, they were you're like, what the fuck, what? I mean, I think they're
Yeah.
great, but at the same time, they don't necessarily have a bearing on the Oscars. So
Exactly.
let's see if we got any questions over here before we sign off. It says AJ wants to know, how do you think the new Oscar Best Casting category will affect films next year? Could it help in any acting categories or Best Picture like makeup and hair and editing do? By the way, he reminded me,
Um,
that's another thing about Demi Moore too. She's probably going to have the makeup win, and those go hand in hand like 99%
they
of
do.
the time. Yeah.
Recently, I actually in my last video was talking about this. It's like almost 100% of the time the past 5 years.
It's crazy. It is crazy. It's hard to go against that stat.
It really is.
But I'm going to, because how many times, I don't know this, how many times has the Best Picture winner and the lead acting performance also won in the same year? Is it equally as impressive of a stat as that makeup stat? Because then it's like, which one do you pick? Do you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying or not?
Um,
Am I making sense or not?
well, a couple years ago it was Chastain and Fraser.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
also I was just thinking like Shape of Water, Sally Hawkins didn't win for Best Actress that year, but Shape of Water won
that's
director
true.
and picture. But she didn't, speak in the film. But I don't think that mattered. But yeah,
Yes, Amy's right
interesting
there. She
point.
says Wicked's going to win production design and costume design. I agree. That I think those are
Yeah.
also locks that are definitely more into focus now. Um, there's some great production design this year too. I just think that Wicked is, those two go hand in hand a lot. They go hand in hand a lot. They did it last year for Poor Things. A lot of people thought
Mhm.
Barbie might, sneak in for one or the other, but as expected, when you get one, you get the other. And I think costume
Exactly.
design is without a fucking doubt Wicked's award. So I think production
Oh,
design is just
yeah.
going to kind of come along with that. So I agree with
Yeah,
you.
I see a path for Nosferatu for production design just because, a lot of the production design for Wicked is mostly CGI, right? I
Hmm.
mean, like
Well, they
the
had a lot of
impressive
practical
stuff.
sets with
Yeah,
they
of
had a lot of
course.
practical sets with the Emerald City and
Yeah,
Goldblum's castle and
that's
all that shit.
true. That's true. Yeah,
They have some good stuff there too.
they
I
did.
think let's answer AJ's question real quick. As far as the best casting, which is going to be introduced, I think next year. I think. Um, I
For
I want to
Oscars?
say right, and that doesn't that come next year,
Oh, that's
or is it
coming?
2027? Yeah, they're doing a best cast. I think it's either,
Cool.
maybe AJ knows. I don't know if it's 26 or 27, but it's coming soon. But I think that I think it will have an effect. I think. Let me put it this way. I think that the 5 for like your acting categories, most likely you're going to see like a best casting nomination as well. It's not like you're going to see a best casting group of films for best cast that aren't elsewhere. I wouldn't think. I mean, it'll be like a similar kind of like pool of movies that they'll be coming from. But if you have
Mhm.
a long list and eventually a short list, like they do for a lot of the other categories for casting, that's going to give you a good indication to how much they love the film or how much more they love the film or maybe how much they didn't like certain films, depending on what they decide to give it on the long list and that kind of thing. So that's going to be a really new award that we've never seen before. I assume it's supposed to be kind of a mirror of like the Screen Actors Guild Ensemble Award, but
Right.
or best cast at the BAFTAs like we saw today that went to Anora. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. But I do think that it would be somewhat substantial at least in the long list process, I would think. What about
It'll
you,
be
Siobhan?
interesting. I didn't even know they were doing best casting. I was just thinking the other day, like, why don't we have best ensemble or casting with
Hmm.
the
Yeah, they
Oscars?
announced it about a year ago or so, but I don't know why they haven't done
Totally missed it.
stunts yet. Stunts? I
Oh,
mean, they need to
stunts.
do a stunt category.
Hello.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's an
Amy just said
obvious
that.
one.
think stunts should be appreciated. Yeah, they need to do that.
Yeah,
Let's see
exactly.
what else. If you have any, I'm looking. Put question marks so I can see that real quick. Jimmy says, "Do you think one day the Oscars will ditch the gender separation for acting categories?" Hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. That would be interesting. I would be down with it. I don't know how that would look in terms of how many nominees it would be. But I feel like there are some awards bodies that do that though, right? They do just like lead
Indie
performance.
Spirit. Yep,
Yeah,
Indie
yeah.
Spirit
Indie
does
Spirit
that.
does
And
it. Yeah, yeah,
Gotham?
yeah.
I think Gotham does that as well.
So it's a possibility. I haven't
Mhm.
thought about it, but I could definitely see that happening.
I mean, yeah, you have to
Let's
take
see.
into account like people who are outside the gender binary. There are not many in Hollywood, obviously.
Mhm,
But then we
mhm.
have someone in the case of the Spider Woman that identifies as Two Spirit, and that's getting Oscar buzz. So who
Yeah, that's
knows?
true. That's true.
Could raise some important questions. I think that I raised this on my Twitter like last week. Like, what's gonna happen with that? Like, are we gonna stick with actor forever and ever, or are we gonna like
Mhm.
figure something out? Because inevitably there's gonna be someone who comes
Yeah,
along
sure.
and doesn't want to be in either, or wants to be in one or the other. So
Right, right. And then it becomes a larger conversation. Yeah, no, I
it
get it.
does.
I
Yeah.
I Siobhan, I don't know if we helped anybody tonight, but
I
I
hope
think
so.
I mean, basically what I'm saying is that the Oscars race is still exciting, but I
It
do think
is.
it's taking shape. I do think it's starting to look in focus. I think that I want a couple different outcomes than what it looks like is ultimately going to happen. But if you're making predictions, if you're trying to figure out what's going to happen, I think there's at least, I mean, of the 23 categories, there's probably at least like 10 to 12 or so that are pretty definitive right now. I would say.
Yeah, it's
And
locked.
like you said earlier, there's no reason to really overthink it. I mean, I will
No.
overthink it because I do every year, but there's necessarily no reason to do that. So
Exactly, and BAFTAs are BAFTAing this year. I'm gonna go with Conclave,
let me
it's gonna
put your
overperform.
let me put your channel in the chat, Siobhan, so people
Oh,
can
yeah,
go follow you over there. What is it? It's you had to change it today, which was
I
weird.
did. So my channel is Awards Obsession,
Yeah, I'll put it
and
down here for
that's,
everybody. So
my Twitter handle too. Yeah.
yeah, Awards Obsession. I threw it down there for you guys if you want to give her a follow. We've become besties as of late because our predictions have been like lining up. We're like the same person. So except for
Basically.
BAFTA, she didn't go like jumping off the pier into the ocean like I did with those. But I went wild with with my BAFTA predictions to see if we could get chaos, but it didn't work out. So
I mean, we
um
did kinda work it out though, G-Dog, like, we literally
yeah,
like,
we picked
Conclave.
Conclave. We had it.
Conclave, we went with Conclave, and literally, I was looking at Awards Expert, it was like 75% Brutalist, I was like, "I don't
Yeah,
think so."
a
No,
lot of people a lot
but,
of people thought Brutalist, and I mean, I just felt like Conclave was just so like BAFTA to me. It just screamed BAFTA. So I
definitely.
predicted it for a ton of stuff, and it ended up winning. It had a great night. So did the Brutalist, though. But um, I think Anora's come on so strong. I'm so excited about that. That was one of my top 3 movies of the year. I think it's an exciting award season. I just think it's becoming a little more clear, and maybe the SAGs will, make my head hurt and make me sit down and have a couple sleepless nights trying to figure it out, but,
I want that to happen,
we'll
not for
see.
you, but for me, because I wanna
Yeah,
get
I
some
know,
drama. Just a little
and I just
bit,
wanna
come on.
and I just wanna let everybody know before we sign off, or if you're watching this later after the live stream, I do my own movie awards because 'cause I'm a psycho and I can't let go of this award season thing, but they're coming up this Wednesday night, which will be February 19th. So if you're watching this before the 19th, then make sure you subscribe and tune into the award show. It's called the Golden Peas, and I do that every year, and fans vote on it, and I have a committee of friends that pick the nominees, and then I put the ballot out there for everybody to vote on. So editing together some stuff for that as we speak, and we'll be airing it at 9:30 Eastern on Wednesday night on this channel. So if you're watching this before the 19th, please tune in, and we'll have some fun. We'll keep celebrating the movies of 2024 until we put them away
Keep
and do
until
something
you
else.
die, as they say in Hocus Pocus.
That's right. That's right. All right,
Yeah.
Siobhan, you're the best, and thanks for joining me for this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, and, like, next week, I'm doing my SAG predictions as well,
Me
so
too. Me
look out for
too.
that.
Me too. I don't know if I'm going to take the ridicule in my comment section from picking ones that I just see them winning. I mean, do you really see Oh, do you want to live in a world that we go the whole award season with somebody like Timothee Chalamet or Ariana Grande blanking for those performances? The
I
SAGs have
don't.
got to save them. The SAGs have got to save them.
At least one, please.
Please.
I
I mean,
don't
come
care.
on, we
I
got to
don't
do
care
something.
which one or both. Do both.
Yeah.
Let's have
All
fun.
right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Be safe out there. Be nice to each other. Let's celebrate the movies. Whatever wins, it's going to be okay. There's always next year.
Exactly.
All right, Siobhan. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.